Ready? Welcome. We're so glad you've joined us tonight. And I'm really excited about this adventure that we're going to take in dealing with diet and stress. And I hope that you learn something that will be helpful to you. This is a 4-session program. The first session is tonight, and then we'll be having one next Thursday night, and then the following Tuesday and Thursday. And each night we're going to follow about the same format. You'll come about 6:30 and start trying some samples and gather at your table, and then we'll start about 6:45, and we'll have a video usually and a little discussion, and then we'll have some type of a demonstration, and then at the end we'll have a round table discussion at your tables. And we should end about 8 or a few minutes after 8. So that's our plan, and we wanted you to know about that. Hopefully these sessions will help all of us reduce the stress in our life. My name's Lenora Follett, and I teach nursing. Actually, I'm the chairman of the nursing department at Atlantic Union College, and I've been interested in diet for a long time, and it's really been a blessing to me, and a program like this gives me the encouragement to, really do it again, make new resolutions and make changes. And I'm really enjoying the book that we're using for this program. It's so vibrant with colors, and there are a lot of recipes to try. And we've given you 2 of the recipes tonight to try that are in the book. And so hopefully they'll be something that you enjoy. I'd like to introduce a few people tonight. Cheryl Almeida, right back here, is the organizer of this program. She's the coordinator. And Elnora King is working in the kitchen, and there she is coming out again. And each night we have different people who are preparing the food to bring to the program. And Michelle Nicholas is at the registration table, and she'll be here each night. Then we have some discussion leaders. Pete Christoph is at this table, and he'll be leading the discussion here. And Arthur Bowen is back behind the camera, and he'll be leading a discussion at this table. And let's see, who did I forget? Kathy Hansen is here, and she'll be leading the discussion at this table. And in this book, Diet and Stress, Simple Solutions, we'll be introduced to a lot of information that was written by a health educator, a physician, and a registered dietitian. And I'd like you to open your books to page 5. This is a quote from the book that I'd like you to notice right at the beginning. Many people think of diet as only affecting their risk of physical problems like obesity, diabetes, elevated cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer. But dietary intake is not only crucial for the prevention of chronic disease, it also has an unexpected effect on daily living. Well-balanced nutrition is essential for both mental and physical well-being. This was a little bit of a surprise to me. And so we are going to be discussing 4 major areas. The first one is stress in our society and stress in your life and my life. Stress and your nutritional needs when you're having stress. How food choices affect stress, and discovering the power on your plate. And you're going to learn what to do, how to do it and get motivated to move in the right direction. So tonight we have a video that I want to show you, and it's by Vicki, a health educator, and Dr. Neblett, a physician, and they're going to discuss the relationship between nutrition and stress.
It's time to take a quick stress test. Question number 1. Can food affect your stress levels?
You now eat these foods, and these foods now will cause the body to be depleted more quickly of certain nutrients that the body needs in order to adapt properly to stress.
Question number 2. Do most people eat enough salad?
People are not eating enough salad. We need to eat more salads.
Question number 3. Can lifestyle choices remove all your stress?
The stressors will always be there. The key is how we adapt to those stressors.
Question number 4. Can better choices help reduce stress?
Plant fiber itself has now been associated with better mental health and better mood.
Stay tuned for more stress-reducing answers today on Diet and Stress. Simple solutions. For many people today, life is whirling out of control. It's a virtual sea of stress, pressure, trouble, and chaos, seemingly without any way of escape. But scientific research is now finding there are simple, effective steps anyone can take to reduce stress, increase energy, and preserve mental, physical, and spiritual health. Discover some of those steps today on Lifestyle Matters, a program designed for those who are changing for good.
Welcome to Lifestyle Matters. We're glad you've joined us today. You know, many people think of dietary choices as affecting only their risk for chronic diseases such as overweight, diabetes, elevated cholesterol, high blood pressure, or heart disease. But dietary choices can have an unexpected effect on daily life. Balanced nutrition affects not only physical health, but mental health. We're here today to talk about stress, and diet is what you're eating you. Stress is a major problem in our society today. As a matter of fact, a recent study involving 46,000 workers over a 3-year period showed that stress and depression in the workplace were more costly than the more well-known diseases and disorders such as smoking, related diseases, diabetes, and even overweight. 20 million Americans suffer from chronic depression. 2/3 of Americans feel stressed out once a week, at least. And all this tension is trickling down to the younger set as well, with a majority of our young people experiencing pretty regular bouts of stress and anxiety. We have with us today a very special friend and expert to discuss this subject with me, and his name is Dr. Edwin Neblett. Dr. Neblett is a family practitioner. He practices family medicine in New Mexico. He also was the head of the residency program at Hinsdale Hospital in Illinois, and he was an assistant professor of family medicine at Michigan State University, as well as being the very popular co-host of Lifestyle Magazine, a health program that aired not too long ago. Dr. Neblett, we're very, very thankful that you have joined us today here on Lifestyle Matters.
Glad to be here, Vicki.
Stress is a big problem. Tell us about it. What is stress anyway?
Well, stress, loosely defined, is interpreted by different individuals, but with the psychological sciences, they borrowed the term from the engineers, and they call it a state of disequilibrium, a unbalanced homeostasis, if you will. Basically, it's a situation where there's no harmony, there's disharmony, or what we would just commonly say, you're off balance. That's basically it. But these stressors can be in different flavors, if you will. They could be physical, like a bee sting. They can also be emotional, like meeting an individual you don't like. They can be chemical, like with certain medications or even caffeine. They can be environmental. It's cold outside, the wind is blowing. Depending upon the intensity of the stress, the magnitude of the stress, the duration you're exposed to it, but in particular to your response to that stressor determines what your body is going to do.
Well, we know that a little stress is a good thing. It enhances our memory and gives us that charge that we need to face the challenges of life every day.
Even helps you to be mentally sharper, to be honest.
Exactly. But why is chronic stress so destructive? What are the systems that are involved in chronic stress? What happens under chronic stress?
Well, you have two systems that are primarily affected here. One is the physical, and the other one is the mental. In the case of the physical, you may come in with a number of gastrointestinal effects. People complain of constipation. They have dyspepsia. They don't digest their food as well. They may have diarrhea. They may have problems with basically absorbing the nutrients that they are eating. On the mental side of the fence, you can have things like irritability, anxiousness, depression. You have poor concentration. You're not able to process information as well as you normally are able to do. You're forgetting things more easily. All of these things can be the response to a chronic, constant stress. Remember, the stressor is not the issue, it's how you adapt or respond to the stressor that's the issue. Continually doing it can wear down the system.
And it's been said that disease is an adaptation to chronic stress response. The two competing systems that you seem to be tagging here are the immune system and the stress system, which have kind of a crosstalk going on. When one becomes overactive, the other one throttles down, or vice versa, in an attempt to achieve homeostasis. Well, what is the effect of stress on nutritional balance? What happens to our system, our nutrient status, when we're under chronic stress?
Well, here's the first problem that tends to occur. You're under chronic stress. You're depressed. Let's say, for example, that's the mental consequence of being under chronic stress. So now, you are going to try to fix this, but you're more attracted to eating a certain kind of food. These foods tend to be more high carbohydrate, high refined carbohydrates to be specific, or a rich diet, more foods that are more nutrient dense. What's the result? You now eat these foods, and these foods now will cause the body to be depleted more quickly of certain nutrients that the body needs in order to adapt properly to stress. So now you are going to lose the B vitamins, the thiamine. You're going to lose your niacin much more quickly. You see, the way I like to explain it to my patients, when you're under stress, your body is like a car that's going very, very quickly. It's driving quickly. You're going to use up nutrients or use up gasoline faster when you're going faster. Now, the critical nutrients that you need to adapt in a very healthy way to these stressors, you're going to burn them up faster. And you're eating foods that are very poor in those nutrients. What's going to end up happening is you're going to get this vicious cycle downward.
So there's a throttling up of metabolism. We're going to use up the macronutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins at a more rapid rate, but we're going to lose more of the antioxidant vitamins like A, C, E, vitamin D for bone health and brain health. The B vitamins, we're going to use those at a more rapid rate.
And now you throw in the minerals that are going to be affected by this, such as calcium, magnesium. The foods the minerals that you critically need for proper brain function are now going to be depleted more rapidly. It's going to have its effect on your bones, it's going to have an effect on your brain, it's going to have an effect on multiple systems in the body. And you're not replacing them by eating the kinds of foods that you really need in order to adapt properly.
And low levels of these circulating vitamins and minerals are associated with increased tension, just what we need every day. Fatigue, depression, agitation, nervousness, irritability, poor concentration, and even memory loss. I guess this is underscored by Paul Rosch, who said this: a faulty diet can certainly be a source of stress. Conversely, stress can lead to poor dietary habits. As you were saying, when we feel bad, we head for the vending machine.
The problem is that not many of us associate the diet that we are eating with the increased maladaptation or response to the stressors that we're facing. And so we eat the foods that make the problem worse but never make the connection between the two.
Let's talk for just a moment about some of the specific effects of nutrition on the stress response.
Well, here's what happens. When you are eating foods that are not going to be giving your body what it needs to adapt properly to the stress, you're going to be going more to the foods that are high fat, high carbohydrate, high protein, but they're not going to have the nutrients that your body needs. What's going to be the result? The result is going to be a situation where you're going to have increased now heart disease, increased risk of cancer. Here's the immune system that needs to be healthy to respond properly. It's going to be depressed. You're under a great deal more stress. Now you're going to be at increased risk of having some of the autoimmune diseases, things like the arthritis, things like gout, things like lethargy, constipation are the consequences that you feel on a day-to-day basis, but the consequences long-term are even more devastating.
So some of these popular diets, like the high-fat, high-protein diets, are you saying that these are actually stress diets, high-stress diets?
They're making matters worse, is what they're actually doing. And as a result of that, our body is unable to adapt to the stressors properly, and it begins to break down, putting us at increased risk for those diseases that we otherwise would not normally experience.
It's interesting because in New England Journal of Medicine, it underscores just what you were saying. The authors of one study said the effects of chronic stress are actually exacerbated by a rich diet. And in another study, it said that dietary fat intake acts as a background form of chronic stress, causing actually the elevation of several stress hormones. So when we have an out of balance diet like these popular fad diets, it actually increases the stress response physiologically to predispose us to certain diseases and decreases mood.
Now, take a typical example. Individuals who are not having any particular health problem, but as a matter of their natural consequence in life, they're going to grab a breakfast to head out the door, all right? Instead of eating a healthy plant-based diet, for example, they're going to grab a cup of coffee and a Danish or a sweet roll, all right? Now, what's going to happen? The caffeine in and of itself is going to dehydrate. This is one of the properties that caffeine will do. Now, we know that when you wake up in the morning, you're more dehydrated than you are at other times during the day. You are needing water to enhance your brain function, but you're going to eat a stimulant, a chemical stimulant, which is a stressor, and this is what you're going to use as your mood enhancer. Instead of having a good adaptive response, you have actually now increased a stress hormone. And when you now do this, you have a potential loss of calcium, magnesium, the B vitamins, which are now critical for you to be in good shape when you get to work after driving through traffic under another sort of stress. In addition to that, you've eaten that Danish or that sweet roll, which is going to be high in refined carbohydrates, and it's going to increase your insulin response, increase your triglycerides, gum up your brain, if you will, diminish your ability to be able to process information well. So now you arrive at work, instead of calm, cool, and collected, you're now going to be set up, more irritable, and now the first problems that hit you, you walk in the door, you lose it.
And not only that, by 10 o'clock, because you haven't had any fiber, you're going to be pretty hungry.
You're going to be crashing is what it is. Your brain is not going to be able to do much of all. And so now what you're going to do is to go back to that vending machine and pick another jumper, which probably has in some chocolate, which is going to create a whole nother cascade of problems.
Oh, I'd like to spend some time talking about a stress protective diet here.
All right.
Let's take a sample breakfast. Let's replace that breakfast.
Very good.
You've shown us the stress effects of a very typical breakfast.
Yeah.
Let's look at the stress protective effects of an alternate breakfast.
Now, this is going to be a more plant-based diet, which is going to have hidden in it the antioxidants, the minerals, the vitamins, precisely those things you need in order to have a healthy adaptive response to stress.
And it's going to have the healthful brain fats, and even a high fiber diet. Plant fiber itself has now been associated with better mental health and better mood. As a matter of fact, a Cardiff University study recently showed that those consuming more fiber in the diet reported less fatigue, more energy, and improved mood. And one professor commenting on this study in the journal Appetite said the physical benefits of a high fiber diet have been widely acknowledged amongst healthcare professionals for many years. However, this is the first time high fiber intake has been associated with better mental health. So let's look at a better mental health breakfast. We're going to start with water. What's that water going to do for us?
That water not only is going to hydrate the brain, improve the circulation through the brain, but it is also going to help to clear out any toxins that may have accumulated over the nighttime. You add on to that now eating fruit, which is going to have its own water in it, but now you're going to have, along with that, I'm thinking about having a good strawberry, for example, that has these rich antioxidants, lycopenes that are going to be involved in there that are going to be necessary for excellent brain function, not to mention the critical minerals, the B vitamins, and those other nutrients that we probably have no idea of, which are going to be helpful to your brain function.
It's going to satisfy my sweet tooth, too.
It certainly is. Then you put on there a slice or two of good whole wheat bread with some nut butter on it, and you're going to have now, adding onto this the correct kind of fatty acids that you need: selenium, magnesium, calcium, chromium. All of these are going to be the nutrients that are going to be necessary for good brain function.
So these are not only disease-fighting compounds, they're also brain-enhancing antioxidants that are in these foods. And not only that, as you were talking, I was thinking of this. When we are stressed, and when we're eating a diet that promotes increased stress, we're going to have a triple problem. We're going to have a problem with absorption of nutrients.
That's correct.
Because digestion is going to be hindered.
That's
We're
right.
going to have a problem with the utilization of those nutrients.
That is correct.
And we are also going to have a problem retaining those nutrients. And I think a good example would be magnesium. If we just take magnesium as an example, we know that magnesium is a major anti-stress mineral.
Okay.
It is responsible for more than 350 enzyme functions. We make our weight every day in ATP, which is a little energy packet.
That's right, found in the mitochondria. That's correct.
It requires magnesium and a number of the B vitamins. And when we are low in magnesium, and many Americans are low in this mineral because of their high sugar, high fat, caffeine, and alcohol intake, this lowers magnesium, and they're not taking magnesium in the diet in the form of greens. Just magnesium alone is going to cause an impairment of the utilization of B vitamins and calcium, all which are so necessary for stress protection and bone and brain health.
Now, all you would know is that you're tired, and that your muscles are sore, and that you just don't have the strength that you usually would have.
And you have a
now,
headache.
What people would normally do then is to say, okay, that's good. I'm going to go down to the store and go and get myself some magnesium and start taking it. Here's the problem. There is a critical balance with these, and there is usually, for example, take zinc and copper. These two, when you take too much of one, it depletes the other. That's basically what happens.
Right.
Your body needs both of them. The best way of doing this is that if you get your food in its plant-based source, you will get the critical amounts of these nutrients, and you won't have to worry about overbalancing one and displacing another.
And just for example, to underscore what you're saying, the leafy green vegetables, they are going to give us the magnesium, calcium, boron, and B6 in the proper ratio.
That's correct.
So we're going to have optimal absorption, the best possible utilization, and the greatest degree of retention. And low B6 levels are associated with PMS symptoms such as anxiety, nervous tension, and mood swings. Not very pleasant.
Who would have thought that eating a salad would help you to be calmer, to help you feel better? You must understand that the stressors in life always will be there.
It's good you mentioned salad, because later on in the program, we're going to be showing you a real salad.
Well, the thought of it makes me hungry. But the point I'm trying to make is this. The stressors will always be there. The key is how we adapt to those stressors. What we want to do is to emphasize that folks can take in, by eating the proper kinds of foods, all the essential nutrients that their body will need in order to be able to adapt to the stressor. You may not be able to change the stressor, but you can have an impact on how you respond to the stressors.
Just the difference in our dietary intake of the type of fat. In other words, switching from the trans fatty acids, the hydrogenated fats, the animal saturated fats, to the brain and nervous system and heart healthy fats.
Like the monounsaturated fatty acids, for example, or the omega-3s?
Or the omega-3s. The monounsaturates, we're going to find those in the avocados and the olives and the olive oil. Nuts, 65% monounsaturated fat, so essential for healthy brain function. And the omega-3 fats, which we will find in our flax and in our walnuts and in our soy, and in the canola oil has some of this. Soy oil has it. Whole soy contains these essential omega fats, which are associated with improved mood and lower levels of stress and anxiety.
What a great idea. I can't think of a better tasting way to be able to feel calm. Instead of my having to consider taking medication to solve this problem, having some olives, what a wonderful way to go. Plus, the fact that we don't even know all of the rest of the things that are in these foods that are enhancing to the brain as well.
25,000 phytochemicals in the plant kingdom, and we're just beginning to identify some which are specifically associated with lower levels of stress sensitivity. I want to share a quote with you from Dr. Ronald Watson, who's written a scientific book on the topic, and it says here, a diet rich in monounsaturated and omega-3 fatty acids is advisable. These modifications can produce consistent changes in concentrations of cortisol, the stress hormone, which can be a real culprit when we're under a lot of stress. Further, plant foods are rich in phytochemicals, trace elements, and vitamins, which show a variety of positive effects on health. Also, consumption of green or yellow vegetables every day may lower the incidence of some stress syndromes, such as irritation and sleeplessness.
The beautiful thing about this is you don't have to know these details. All you have to know is, if I eat a variety, it's key that you have a wide variety of these various phytochemicals. Who worries about whether or not you're getting this or that? Just eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, a variety of your seeds, your nuts, your legumes, and you will get all of the critical nutrients that you need for healthy brain function. I think it is wonderful, the idea that I can do something that not only tastes good, but that is good for me in order for me to be able to have that harmony that my body needs in order to respond to any kind of stressor. It's a wonderful idea.
Yes, and the first line of defense is the fresh foods. That's not to say there's never a place for supplements. For instance, if you're on a total plant-based diet, it is essential that you have a source of B12 in the diet. Low B12 levels are distinctly associated with higher levels of depression and very serious neurological damage. So it's important to have that B12 in the diet, but the first line of defense is always going to be those fresh foods, plenty of color on the plate. Stress is a profound problem, but part of the solution are our very dietary habits, tools that we have within our reach, right at the grocery store.
You know something? The other thing about this is that the beautiful thing is that you and I have a choice in the matter. Instead of reaching for the rich, high-carb, highly refined foods that are just going to make matters worse, we may feel good temporarily by having that bowl of ice cream or that slice of chocolate cake. But what effect it has on our body is going to set us up and make matters worse. We can make educated choices that are very tasty, very colorful, wonderful to enjoy, that our body will use to our benefit and to our blessing, not to mention the people that are around us.
That's a good point. And you know, one of the things I love about this stress protective plan, it's not about deprivation. It's not about drinking sludge drinks. It's about taking more food. It's about beating cravings and food addictions. It's about improving mood, having better coping skills, and just facing life with more resiliency, mentally and physically. We're glad you've joined us here. Dr. Neb, thank you for joining us today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
So it looks like there's a vicious cycle going on, doesn't it? We have stress, we eat wrong, the food makes the stress worse. So we're going to try to break that vicious cycle that goes on. I'd like you right now to take out There are some pages. Well, no, that's not yet. Sorry. Let's just think about a few things that the video talked about. We know that God provided us with foods that relieve stress, and we can enjoy them. Most of us enjoy those foods that we saw tonight. Nuts and fruits and grains, and we enjoy that kind of food. Sometimes we think it's too difficult to prepare our meals that way, but really it's more simple, isn't it? They're so readily available to us. So we want to do the things that are going to relieve stress, and I'd like you to think about some of those changes that you could make. One of the things that I'd like to point out to you is that there are some pieces of blank paper on your table, and if you happen to have any questions during our presentation tonight, you can feel free to write your questions on those papers, and then we'll try to answer those on Thursday. There are two handouts on your table. One of them is your level of stress. So I'd like you to each take one of those papers and look at the top part of it. There's a line across the top. It's a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being super stressed out and 1 being very mellow. And I'd like you to think, how stressed are you right now? And I guess I'd have to say, where am I on this scale right now? I don't think I'm the highest stress I've ever had, but I'm a little stressed. I had such a busy day today. I'd probably put myself at least a 6 on that scale. But you might look at it and just say, where are you on this stress scale? Now, how do you notice stress in your body? There's a whole list of ways that stress can be noticed. So look at that list and say, what symptoms do I have when I have stress? I'd like you to take a few minutes and look at that list and maybe make some check marks about no stress, Kathy?
Well, some of them have 3 and 4 check marks.
Oh, okay. Now we know that different life events can also cause stress. And some of you have had a lot of things happen lately that might have caused you a lot of stress. On page 14 and 15 of your book, you'll find a list of things that might cause stress in your life. And you might look at that and say, have I had any of those recently? Have I been under stress that I haven't even thought about? Sometimes we don't think of good things happening, causing stress, like receiving a reward of some kind, but that can even be stressful. We can think of bad things, a death in the family, a divorce, a change of job. Those are all stressful, but there are some good things that can cause stress too. So look at that list and think about what stress you might be having. There's also another handout about fiber, and we're going to be talking about fiber. I'd like to introduce to you Leslie Wood. She's a registered nurse, and actually right now she's teaching 3 nutrition classes at Mass Bay Community College. And she's going to talk to us about fiber. Thank you, Leslie.
I loved the presentation, and I'm thinking of all those minerals and vitamins that were coming at us, and can I remember this and can I remember that? Bottom line, it's about choosing variety. And when I talk to my classes, I keep saying that word over and over and over again because it can be confusing. But let's think about stress. Let's think of some of the things he said about what does it do to our body. It literally eats away at our nutrients. It eats away at our vitamins. And okay, maybe we're taking a supplement, but is that supplement, does it include all the other things like the phytochemicals? There are thousands of phytochemicals in our food. So let's think about, now when we think of variety, for example, what should I go after? Let me look at my diet today. Am I eating variety, but variety of what? One of the things he mentioned was that if you're having a difficulty choosing what to choose, what's the best for me in the whole spectrum? Go after fiber. Now, how do you do that? Well, I just laid out for you a selection. I reached things from my cupboard, and then I went to the grocery store to get a few fresh veggies too. But let's start at the beginning of the day, for example, breakfast. Fiber, they look at fiber in terms of grams. So how many grams a day do you need? You need about 30 to 50 grams of fiber a day. They say about 1% of the population in the United States is perhaps getting the right amount of fiber. That leaves a big chunk that is not. So I look at some of my students and people, you go through the grocery store, what are they picking off the shelves? Oh gosh, I see too much soda and packaged food. And I get a lot of people saying, oh, it costs too much to buy vegetables, or it takes too long to prepare. Well, in reality, it isn't. If you're thinking of your health, think of the repercussion down the road of eating packaged food that's been processed, where the nutrients have been taken out of it. Under stress, those nutrients, which we are all under, get eaten away, whereas we could just on a regular basis be feeding ourselves good, nutritious food. Okay, breakfast. I chose a variety of different cereals, all whole grain. I love to look at food labels. Sometimes we are, you see a package and it looks good, but we just grab it and we don't read actually what's in it. So the nutrition facts are on every packaged food. Read the nutrition facts. You'll learn instantly what's in it in terms of some add vitamins. For example, here's a cereal that they add just about 100% of many of the vitamins. But what about all the phytochemicals? Okay, so let me look at the fiber. 3 grams of fiber. They recommend for a cereal like this, maybe 3 to 5 grams of fiber per serving is about what's recommended. So this has 3 plus your vitamins. But this one is wheat and bran. Read the box. It says made with 100% natural whole grain wheat and wheat bran. When you see the bran, you think of fiber instantly. And actually, that's all that's in this particular cereal. How many grams of fiber? 8. 8 grams of fiber in a serving. So I just picked up a few others. Here's another one. It says whole grain. Okay? If it doesn't say the word whole, you're not getting the whole grain. Make sure it says it. Read the label. This has 7 grams. So remember, we need 30 to 50 a day. So let's start with a bowl of cereal. Maybe I'll put some chop up. I always have some banana on my cereal. I don't know about you. In the berry season, berries are very, very rich in fiber. I might have some citrus on the side or pear. How How about some soy milk? Does this have fiber? It actually does. This has, in 1 cup, has 2 grams of fiber. So even in our nut milks, we can have some fiber. Juices, for the most part, do not have fiber. You know, your fruit juices, even the ones with the pulp. But read the label and see. So what's, you know, why the fiber? I'm trying to get you to think of fiber. In the fiber is nutrition, okay? And if they just discovered vitamins in the early part of this century, and if they just discovered phytochemicals in the 70s, what else are they going to discover that we need to keep this body functioning healthy with reserves? And I think that's the key. Also thinking of stress. We get worn down. Are we feeding the body with reserves? Okay? So let's see, snack food. Maybe I'll have some nuts, you know. Maybe for breakfast too, I will have, here again it says whole grains. Don't be fooled by the color of the bread. It could be brown, but not be whole grain. They could add molasses. It could be brown, but it could be practically all white flour, processed. And it's recommended per slice, about 2 grams of fiber per slice, which this particular bread has 3. And I love this heavy bread, you know, this happens to be a German bread, but this is a whole rye bread. This actually has 8 grams per slice, nice and rich. Nice, this would taste delicious with some hummus on it, wouldn't it? You know, I like that. Or, how about some of your nut butters? I love this almond butter. You're getting more fiber, more nutrients. This is fat, yes, but we need fat to metabolize our vitamins, some of our vitamins A, D, E, and K. So don't shy away from the fatty plant foods. They're really healthy. Another good snack food. I carry it with me. Sunflower seeds. Okay, lunches. Okay, we have all these different cereals. Just a word about, you know, it says wheat on it, but I look on the box and it says there's only fiber, there's 1 gram. Just because it's wheat doesn't mean it's going to have fiber. Read the labels. Okay, let's see. Lunch could be a variety of salads. I love all the different. Going to the produce section is my favorite section. In fact, it's the main section I go to. Beets, I chose these because they have color. They're also fantastic chopped up in salads. I love them raw. I like them better raw than cooked. Obviously, chopped carrots. When you think of vegetables, go after color, because the more color you have in your foods, the more nutrients you're getting. If you're looking at your plate and you're seeing like monocolor, go after some more color for your plate. You're going to get more nutrients, more substance for your body. So we got cucumbers, we got the cancer-protecting cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, sweet potato, wonderful nutrients in sweet potato. You can have a sweet potato for lunch. You can, or at dinner, an easy way to cook sweet potato. If you don't want to wait the whole hour or whatever it takes to cook a sweet potato, chop it up in little pieces, bite-sized pieces, and put it on a pan. It tastes delicious, and it bakes up very quickly. Very tasty. Collard greens. Now, in terms of, I had collard greens years ago, canned, and it just, well, I've had them more recently, and I love collard greens. They cook up so easily. They're also very, very rich in many nutrients. And so I could have a nice salad, and I could throw some raisins on it, and maybe some sunflower seeds. I'm thinking of not just buying a whole variety of food in the store, but making my plate, my meal, look inviting. You know, I want to put a lot of different yummy, tasty nutrients. So for a snack, we need, you know, every once in a while we feel that need for some sugar, but we can get the nutrient sugar from the fruits. Kiwis, for example, are very high in vitamin C. Oranges and citrus, of course, particularly the oranges, of course, are the highest in vitamin C. And then what about dinner? Beans. Now, beans are a staple of my life, for sure. I do have beans. I could toss actually some beans, some garbanzo beans or chickpeas on a salad. I could, along with kidney beans, I could have kidney beans instead, or I could make a little saute, putting some either canned beans, or lentils are a very rich food for mental health. So I always include at least 1 or 2 meals during the week to have cooked lentils. Lentils cook up very quickly. Now, what about some of these other foods that we buy? You know, I grew up on these other things that, standard cookies, 0 fiber, okay? I mean, that's bottom line. Look at the fiber. If it's not there, what's it gonna be doing for you? Okay, I even grabbed some of these off the shelf a little too quickly. I actually got fooled because there was a picture of a wheat cracker there. And it turns out that it's all just plain white flour crackers, 0 fiber, okay? So when you pick something off the grocery shelf, read the labels, read carefully what you're picking. Okay. What about, I don't eat these, but candy bars, chocolate, I used to. Fiber, there actually was 1 gram of fiber in a chocolate bar, but you know what? This chocolate bar has crisp rice in it, and it's probably the rice that's giving it the fiber. So let's thinking about kids in terms of adding variety. Kids emulate adults. So they learn they're watching us, what are we eating? They will eat what we eat, putting out delicious samples of, you know, dried fruit. Dried apricots are yummy, very rich in vitamin A. Putting out nuts and just offering them a variety of food and teach them variety is important too. But moderation, right? We don't want to eat too much of one thing, so variety and moderation. Adding to the nutrients, as the video showed us, having enough water is vital. They recommend about 8 cups a day. Now they recommend this is 2 cups, this is about 16 ounces. So about this quantity upon rising, and about this quantity between breakfast and lunch, and the same between lunch and dinner, and then sometime at another part during the day, which is about 8 cups. We need the fluid. I mean, it's fascinating to hear about how it's all connected. It's not just our physical body we're trying to enhance. We're trying to enhance our mental, our emotional, our spiritual, and it's amazing how it's all connected. On top of the water, so we have taking an array of nutrients, an array of food, having enough water. Are we also getting enough sleep? I mean, that's a challenge also, isn't it? But it's almost like we have to schedule in our sleep, don't we? You know, along with our agenda. And not only that, but one more item of health, and that's our exercise. And without the exercise, none of this is going to move through the body and nourish like it needs to. Even the U.S. government in the My Pyramid, where they say, you need this many fruits and vegetables, they also put a little fellow running up the mountain showing you need exercise too. So blessings to you all in your ventures in the grocery store, and be venturesome, choose new foods that you haven't chosen before. I love to do that. Just try something new and be a little daring and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And I was thinking when you said about sleep, my little miniature schnauzer often goes to bed before I do. When are you coming to bed? He knows when to go to bed. We'd really like you to get the most out of this seminar. So one of the things we want to do is to give you some assignments. Before you come the next time, we'd like you. I mean, you may not have the time if you're getting enough sleep and doing all these things, but we'd like you to look at your book, enjoy all the pictures and the information and so forth, but we'd like you to go through some of the chapters, and this time, before Thursday, if possible, we'd like you to look at chapters 1, 2, and 3. And fill out the worksheets for chapter 2 and 3. You'll find worksheets at the end of the chapters. And then try to do some of the things that they suggest. See how you do with following some of the suggestions, and you can bring to your discussion maybe some problems that you're having with following the suggestions. So fill out the worksheets for chapters 2 and 3. I think we're doing chapter 1 worksheet tonight here. Try to pay attention to how much fiber you're eating. That doesn't mean you have to go and buy everything new, but just look at what you have. Just notice on the packages how much fiber you're eating. Do try to drink more water. See if you're getting that 8 glasses of water a day. And try to get to bed on time. Figure out what amount of sleep you should get and what time that means you have to go to bed. And try getting a little exercise, at least a 10-minute brisk walk. My dog makes sure I get walks every day, and I'm really thankful for that because I do walk about 3 times a day. And then notice how stress affects your body. You have that list, and just think, during the day, what happens when I feel stressed? Okay, I'm really thankful you came, and we're going to have our discussion groups now. So your discussion leader will help you in following through the worksheet, and thank you. I look forward to getting better acquainted with you. I don't know very many of you. I look forward to getting better acquainted with you, and hope you enjoy this seminar.